All right, let's go ahead and start lesson one, comparing security roles and security controls. 1A, compare and contrast information security roles. First thing you will know or you need to know, and it's going to stick with you as long as you're working in cybersecurity, is something called CIA triad. CIA triad, that's coming from them, and that's not only cybersecurity, is not inside the CIA triad, but all our focus, everyone is focusing on what? On improving the CIA triad, confidentiality, integrity, and availability. What is confidentiality? You're talking to your friend and you want to make it as a secret. And you say, hey, I'm going to tell you something, just don't tell it to anyone. It's become what? It's become confidential. So confidentiality is an information that's no one allowed to investigate or no one is allowed to access, all right, except for certain people who has authorization to access this information, all right. That's the confidentiality. The second one, which is the I, is an integrity, and integrity is a very, very critical part in cybersecurity. Why? I want to tell you a story now, and if I tell you this story, I'm 100% sure when you go to your friend and tell your friend the same story that I told you, there's going to be some changes, right? Either words, either anything happen. And that's we're losing in integrity. No, I want to, if I tell you a story, the same word that I said it, the same way that I said it, it has to reach to every single one. That's called that integrity. So if I send you an email, I want you to receive the same email that I sent you. I don't want anyone in the middle to catch this email. I don't want anyone to change the information inside this email. Think about it. You go into the hospital and you say, okay, here is my social security, here's my information, and they open your medical record, and God forbid you're going maybe, just to do blood work, and you find, oh, wow, you have all of these, sickness, or what's going on? I said, wow, I'm good. I never came to the hospital. I'm just coming to do blood work. I said, no, the record here is showing that you have a big, big, big trouble, right? Someone came and someone changed the information for you for something different. It's called an integrity. So the integrity means the information that's in there, it has to stay as it is. No one can alter this information. No one can modify this information except authorized people. Lastly, which is availability. I need that system, this information is available to user 24/7. Think about Amazon. You go to Amazon.com and Amazon.com is down. You cannot reach Amazon.com. You cannot open Amazon.com. So Amazon.com is not available, right? And with that being said, they will be losing millions of dollars for every minute the system is not available. That's why we're focusing also on availability. All right, that the CIA triad: C, confidentiality; I, integrity; and A is availability. Now, cybersecurity framework, that's what you are going to do throughout your career in cybersecurity. Now, many organizations work on different frameworks, but here in the US, we're dealing with the NIST 853, and NIST, which is the National Institute of Standard and Technology. And this is, they do many of frameworks, different frameworks. The one that we deal with is the 853 for the cybersecurity framework. It actually tells you what to do in every single step, but they break it down to 5 major steps or 5 major categories: identify, protect, detect, respond, and recover. Identify means I want to know what's my problem before someone come, and hack me, before someone come to my home and, steal my, assets, right? I want to know the problem. So you know that you have your door is broken at home, right? You need to know that so you can fix it before someone comes. That's called identify. So I want to identify. I want to know every weakness in my system, in my company, in order for me to protect it, which is then you're going to jump to the second part, which is protect. What am I going to do to protect my company? What am I going to do to protect my asset? What am I going to do to protect my network? Should I, add in cameras? Should I get a security guard? What should I do? Right? That's a protect. That's the second phase. Once I decided and I started protecting, I got my security guard, I got my cameras, I got my softwares, I got my antiviruses, and I got everything is secured. Now I protect. Now I want to make sure that it's going to stay protected. So I need a group of people who's going to detect the problems. It's going to detect the attacks. It's going to detect if someone trying to get unauthorized access to my system, right? Then, once they detect it, they give it to another team, which is doing the response. Now, I'm going to stop this attack. I'm going to make sure that my system is going to be protected for next time. What I'm going to do after that, that the respond. Okay. Lastly, is the recover. System hacked, system broken, door broken. What you're going to do, you're going to fix it, right? You're going to fix it and let it work again. That's the recover part. The recover, I hack the computer, they got the computer, clean it up, put it back in the system. That's the recover part. So the cybersecurity framework, NIST 853, focus on these five parts. Each five part has process inside this document. I would encourage you to go to NIST, look for NIST 853. It's a big document. You don't have to read it all, but at least see how they think, right? See how they break it down. You'll find lots of fun information inside. It's very easy to read, by the way. But I know it's a lot. You may not have that time to read all of it, but you can start see what's in it. Information security competencies, what you can do in there, right? What's your responsibilities? Why they are going to hire you, right? So if you remember, the first thing we said what? We identify. That means we're doing what? The risk analysis, risk assessment. We're looking what our weaknesses, what we want to protect, why this is weak. Why should I buy this system, not the other system? That's called risk assessment, right? Specifying, sourcing, installing, and configuring secure devices and software. Now that's come to the second part, which is to protect. After I identify and do my risk assessment, I come to the second part right away, which is to protect. I want to protect these. So I want to buy my equipment, I want to buy my tools, and I want to install it, configure it, make sure it's good. Then the third, I'm going to add those access controls, make sure that no one can access the system except authorized people. I want to make sure no one can get to my system except the people who's working on my companies. Privilege and all of these fun parts. This is the what comes back to protect, right? Now I want to do what? I want to do a detect, which is comes to auditing and incident reporting response. All right. Then jump to other two parts, which is you do business continuity and disaster recovery, which means you try to stop this attack, you try to recover this information, you try to cover your system as fast as possible to make sure that your business keep going. Security training and education programs that you do to everyone in your company to make everyone aware of any cybersecurity threat. Information security roles and responsibilities. What are the roles that you can play in your company? It's very straightforward. Either you're going to be one of the big management, which is the CSO or the CISO. And these are the head chef or big part of the organization in term of cybersecurity. We call him CISO, CISO, Chief Information Security Officer. Or you're going to be a manager that's responsible for cybersecurity or for IT, right? So you have overall responsibility, managerial, and then you have a technical, which is mostly going to be you. Technical, they have many names, what we are going to study later, but anyone can be technical. You're looking for document, matching documents, you're technical. You're putting rules, you're technical. Programming, you're technical. Monitoring, you're technical. Anything you do comes under technical. There is another two part which is not for you, but if anyone wants to hire, there is some people behind the scene, doing policies, hiring, and you do many things together in order to keep these running. Information security business units. What is this actually what they call it or what's located? First thing, that's going to be SOC, right? And the most famous position is called the SOC analyst. Any one of those could be SOC analyst. And this the whole thing is SOC, which is Security Operations Center. Anything happen on the network can come on those screens. Not only those big screens, those small screens. That's your responsibility here to do what? Detect. To do what? Detect. So your responsibility at the beginning, and I keep stressing on this, at the beginning, it will be the detect. Excuse me. The more you gain experience, the more you jump higher. So now you detect, tomorrow you detect and respond. After 6 months to a year, you're going to be detect and respond and recover. Maybe after that, you will become as training people. Maybe after that, you will become a manager, right? But you're going to start as a detect, which is the one that's who's going to be sitting in here or going to be sitting at your home, but you're going to be watching your screen to see if any alert come to the system so you can start working on it, right? So that's the whole major part or the main part for cybersecurity. It's called the SOC, right? So inside the SOC, you will have an incident response people, which is SOC analysts. They can call them many different names. And those all of those names doing the same responsibility, the same job. Just from company to company, just give them different names. Okay. So you can find them, call them CERT or CSIRT or CERT. Cyber Incident Response Team, Computer Security Incident Response Team, Computer Emergency Response Team. They're all the same, incident response. Okay? SOC Analyst is also incident response. Now, there is another part in here, it's called DevSecOps. DevSecOps is one has knowledge. One has knowledge with the programming, with coding, and wants to make sure these codes are secure. So they give them a specific position called DevSecOps. So you may not be working in here, you may be working in different department with the coder, but you are going to take these codes. You're gonna review this code statistically, which means you just going to read it, or you are going to use another tools to automate the test of these codes. That would call them the DevSecOps. So you have incident response or DevSecOps, the main major part, which is the SOC. Any question?
I
All
have a
right.
question.
Go ahead.
Where do pen testers fall in that area? Are they in the SOC or where are they?
No, pen tester does not sit in here.
Okay.
These people, as you can see, they monitor the network or they respond to attack. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
So pen tester, it's a different story, right? And we're gonna speak about it also in details later. But the pen tester can start from anywhere. You can start from home. You can start from different country, from different company. You can start from anywhere, right? And the responsibility is to attack this system. If they're able to attack it, that means that system has a problem, needs to be fixed. If they won't be able to attack it, that means it's good. So it could some part of it rely in here, DevSecOps, because after they do the code, right, it has to be tested, right? So
Mm-hmm.
they can do that test as well if they are, they have some knowledge in how to do the pen testing, but it could also rely or comes under the DevSecOps.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. Any other question? All right. The second part, topic 1B, is compare and contrast security control and framework types. Now, we're still going on what is cybersecurity and what you're going to do, what you're going to work, and it's just general information. As usual, lesson 1 and lesson 2 is just major information, general information. All right, so security control categories. how it's being built. What are the categories in there? We have three major categories: managerial, operational, and technical. Managerial, operational, and technical. Managerial, they just do paperwork. They look from, you know, on the top of the organization to see how everything going. They give policies, they give rules. That's all. That's the managerial, right? Then you go underneath the managerial, there is the operational. And to understand the operational, we need first to jump to the technical. Because if you read it like this, it will be very confusing to you. So if we take it from the technical, it will be a little bit easier. Technical, what is technical in here? Which is the base, which is, the major or the biggest department is the technical. It's actually the tools, the equipment that you use. You have a firewall. The firewall is a technical, right? The rules that inside the firewall is technical. Cable, technical. Antivirus is a technical. Every single thing that you put in your network to defend your network, to protect your network is a technical. So technical is not a human. There is nothing to do with a human. Technical is not a human. It's those rules, those equipment, those tools that you're using, okay, that you implemented to protect your network. So managerial, oversight everything. Technical is these tools and rules and, you know, equipment, appliances that you install in your network to protect your network. All right? You install antivirus, you install any software, IDS, IPS, anything you install, that's the technical. Now, who is telling what this technical to do? Who is given these rules? Who's putting the programs on it? Who's turn on the power and turn off the power? Is the operational, which is the people. So the operational is the people, technical is those tools and equipment and rules. Okay, so managerial, operational, and technical. All right, security control functional. We have two types, types one and types two. I don't like to break it like that. I like to break it in just one way. Three major and three minor. Three major, which is preventive, detective, and corrective. Three minor, which is the physical, compensating, and deterrent. The three major function, as you can see in here, and that's everywhere you go, you have to ask what this tool does. Is it preventive? Is it detective? Or is it corrective? And that's the only or mainly three tools or three appliance or three rules that we're dealing with all over the world. Either I'm going to install something that's going to prevent me from being attacked. That's called the preventive. Or I'm going to install, let's say you install a camera. So what camera is going to do to you? In your home, you are at home and you're installing a camera or you're installing a ring or anything at the home door. What's going to do to you? Just one thing. It's going to detect. If someone comes to your home, it's going to detect it. Is it going to prevent the attack from happening? Is it going to go the camera and open the door for you or close it? It does nothing to you. What it does is detect. So it has a detective function. A detective function. Okay? Yes, there is some tools in cybersecurity. It just detect, and I'll go to study this in details. It just detect. It just tells you there is an attack coming. That's all what it tells you. So it detects the attack coming. It detects someone trying to access your system. It does not do anything else. However, the preventive, it can stop the attack. Okay, let's say instead of you bringing a camera, you get a security guard sitting at your home and has a gun. So if anyone tries to attack, they will just get the gun and stop this attack. Right? That's the preventive and prevented the attack from happening. So there is some tools, some equipment, some appliances, some rules. Right? They will see the attack. It won't only just tell the administrator there is attack coming. It will actually stop the whole attack from being, completed. Last one, which is the corrective, All right. So the corrective, it's doing just from the name, it's just trying to fix vulnerabilities, just trying to fix weaknesses, just trying to, you know, uh, 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 it could be preventing, could be detecting also, but it mainly correct a weakness or correct an issue, right, with your system. And it does not have to be, it could be a code. You find a code, you done the test on the code, and you find a weakness on that code, right? That test that happened to it is a corrective because you find it and then you go ahead and take it and you correct it, right? So it could do many things to you, but the main part of it is just to correct, to fix, okay, that problem. So as you can see in here, it does what? It mainly works after the attack because you will not know that your system has a problem until you've been attacked. You done all the tests, you do everything you can, you run your test, you document your test, and some attackers find different vulnerabilities that you did not even test before. So when it comes to the attack to you, then you start to correct everything, right? The other three, which is the minor three, which is the physical, compensating, and deterrent. Physical, anything physical. This camera is physical, you can catch it, you can touch it, that's physical. They call it physical. So anything you put a lock on your door, that's a physical function. It could, you know, does not have to be preventive, detective, or corrective, but it's just a physical. So that's why we call it major and minor. It's different categories completely. Compensating, compensating. Let's say I want to buy a camera. I could not find a camera, so I went and bought a ring. Compensating, I replace something instead of something. And lastly, which is the deterrent. Deterrent is something just scaring you, trying to keep you away. Let's think about you have a dog at your home and you kept it outside. Would you think anyone will come close to your home? Most probably no. Why? Because they gotta be scared. So the dog is a deterrent. The dog is a deterrent. And think about it, many things can be a deterrent. If you put a big flashlight in front of your home, if anyone walks and that flashlight just kicks or turned on suddenly, they will be scared, right? That's also deterrent. So anything that's scaring people to come close to you or to attack you, that's called a deterrent. It does not do any prevention, does not prevent you from being attacked, does not even detect nothing, it just to scare people from coming to you. And that's the second slide speak about physical deterrent and compensating. Because here compensating is, just substitute for principal control. Now, as we can say, different frameworks. We speak about NEST 853 called NEST or Cybersecurity Framework, and give you a little bit of details where to put, or what to follow if you want to protect your network, right? Tells you about objective statement, measure progress, and verifiable statement. But NEST does not do only this for cybersecurity. It does many other frameworks. As I told you, one of the frameworks, it give it to you as a risk, right? If you want to do that first part before you think about it, which is, you do this study, you find your weaknesses. It's called risk management. If you want to know how to do risk management, there is something called RMF. It's another framework. Okay, it's a different framework than the CSF, than the cybersecurity framework. It just focuses on how to do the risk assessment, how to do the risk management. If you want to work with the government, gonna follow the FIPS, and there is some special publication they do. It just to, if they find anything that's been added, they can just put it as a special publication. Right. So as I said, NEST is responsible for the US. NEST is a US organization. USA is following the NEST. Now, if any organization inside the US wants to deal with any organization outside of the US, they will come and tell you, you know what, I don't believe in, in Nest. It does not follow my standard. And you can come and tell them, I don't believe in Europe's standard. That's why they become with a new standard called International Organization for Standardization, which is the ISO. So if any company deal with any person outside of the US, they have to follow the ISO. Okay, that makes sense. I have to follow the ISO. ISO is the same principle as NIST, but it's actually fix the problem between countries and countries. So you have to follow the ISO. It's the same idea. I'm giving you a risk framework, and I'm giving you what? A cybersecurity framework. Cybersecurity framework is 21K or 27K. They both work as cybersecurity standard. If anyone speak about 31K, this is the risk management. Risk management. Okay. Not only ISO, also the cloud has their own framework. And if you just think about what is framework, right? A framework something, it's an actual document or a study that will make it easy for you to make things. It does not do it for you. It does not give you steps to do it. So when you buy a TV or when you buy a table, in order to do assembly or to assemble it, you need to get that, steps to follow, right? That's not a framework. That's not a framework. But if they give you just the pictures and tell you, okay, look at the pictures and you can do it, that's a framework. Okay, so the framework is giving you just ideas. Do you have to follow it? No, but make it easy for you to secure your network. So if I come and tell you, you know what? In order to secure your computer, you have to put username and password. That's a framework. Do you know how to put your username and password, or do you have to set up a password? You may not know. I'm not giving you steps how to do it, but I'm giving you an idea. If you want to secure it, that's what you're going to do. Okay? That's the framework. The other one, it tells you how to do it step by step. What we call it here, a benchmark. So you need to differentiate between both. You need to understand the difference. Okay? So if I tell you, you have to put a password, that's a framework. It's better for you to put a password. That's a framework. How to put the password step by step? That's a benchmark. All right. Anyone has a question? Awesome. So different frameworks. So even if you want to work with the cloud, that the service provider who work with the cloud, they have their own framework to follow. So each or every if you go to networking, not only cybersecurity, if you want to deal with networking, there is different frameworks for networking. If you go for programming, there is different framework for programming. Each part in the IT has different framework, right? Make it easy for you just to follow steps, to think about it, what you're gonna do. All right. So also the cloud has different frameworks. Has cloud service provider (CSP) framework, enterprise reference architecture, right, and cloud control matrix. Just different ideas, different studies that you can follow. Statements on standards for attestation engagement (SSAE) and service organization control (SOC). These standard, okay, you can quickly call it SOC, right? But not the SOC and not that the security operations center. It's service organization control. It's another framework for reporting, okay? For reporting only. So let's say your manager comes and say, okay, I want something official to tell the company or to tell, the stakeholders, to tell the executives what's going on in my cybersecurity, right? So you follow this standard. It's called SOC 2, okay? Service Organization Control. It's a reporting. Now, let's say you're being hacked and you want to show the public, you want to show everyone in the world that, okay, I've been hacked and that the information that's available to me, you have to follow something called SOC 3. So SOC 2 for organization, for internal reporting, SOC 3 for external or public reporting. So it's just for reporting. If any part of this interested you, you can go and look at it. But the only thing they will ask you on the test, if they ask anything in here, I'm trying to do reporting, which one standard I can use. They won't ask you how it works. They won't ask you why it works. They won't ask you anything inside these. Only thing they want to know, do you know if I want to report, do I report it? Which standard I'm going to use? If I'm going to go internationally, which standard I'm going to use? If I'm working in the US, which standard I'm going to use? That's all what they will ask you for, and it's only one question on the test. Benchmark, we said about the difference between benchmark and the framework. Benchmark will give you details of details of details. Now, you wanna get peace of mind when you build your company. You can go to IBM, say, hey IBM, I want you to build my cybersecurity team. I want you to build my network that's being secured. So follow your benchmark. Give them money, they build it for you on how they build it exactly inside IBM. That's called the benchmark. So all companies, they provide you the benchmark. That paper that comes with the TV or with the table give you step by step how to build it or how to turn it on, how to connect it. That's called the benchmark. Okay? It's the same idea. They can give you a benchmark, sell it to you, and you can build it yourself, or you can give them money and they can come and build it to you. The most famous benchmark that you can buy is called CIS, or Center for Internet Security, right? It's a benchmark. It tells you step by step where to put your equipment, where to put your firewall, where to put your antivirus, how to install it, what configuration is in there. Every single piece you need to know where to follow, how to follow, where to find it. Okay. There's another benchmark is for operating system. Anything you buy, right now, anything you buy, they will tell you what to do step by step, isn't it? That's called an operating system. If you want to secure your Windows, you just go to Microsoft, say, hey, how can I secure my Windows? It's an operating system, network, any single device you buy, router, switch, cell phones, anything you buy, can say, okay, I want to benchmark how to follow the steps to protect my equipment, right? So as you can see, there is many different benchmark. That's why most of you won't be asked about it in the test because it's a lot. There is way more. Anywhere you go, you can find a benchmark. Any equipment you buy, there is a benchmark. Okay. Application servers and web server application. Even if you want to buy that big equipment, that big servers that you want to build an applications, now you hear there is different applications in the market, right? You think about something like a PeopleSoft antivirus, application to do implementation, application to do configuration, application to do Python itself. If you think about Python, I can't remember the name, but someone here knows about Python. Python has its own benchmark. How to use Python, where to find the equipment, where to get these libraries, which library is good, which library is bad, right? What code to use in this, what code to use in that. All of these has its benchmark. So if you want to build something specific, now you can go to Google, said, hey, Google, I want to build a web server. Give me a good benchmark. And you're going to find many benchmarks in there. Some of them are even through to you for free. Some of them you have to pay. Some of the companies, they will tell you, you know what, I will build it for you. That's also a benchmark. Just peace of mind. Give them money, they will build it for you. All right. Lastly, which is a question coming in here in the test, but the most important, not the question on the test. Why are they giving us this one? Why are they giving us this slide? Why are they telling me about the regulation? What jobs I can do in this part? And I believe some of you, maybe someone will be really interested in this one. It's something called ISSO. It's a position in there. It's just ISSO, Information Security Officer. What do you do with this slide or these regulations? You are a company. You're taking a credit card. You're taking credit card payments, right? You cannot take this credit card payment until you follow this regulation. If you miss any of this regulation, you will pay fine. So the one before was nothing about fine. Things just to make your life easier. Things to let you understand what cybersecurity, what to do. The regulation and standard and legislation, you may lose business. You may go bankruptcy. You may go sometimes to jail. You will pay lots of money if you miss any of the steps inside those regulations. That's why it's very important. Now, as you can see sometimes some position instead of the ISSO, they will tell you policy compliance, right? If you one day you go and just, and I would like to do everything practical so we can on let's go to Indeed.com. Indeed.com. Just go policy compliance. Okay. Principal cyber system engineer. It's always going to be also compliance, but as you know, you have just to put the name, but everyone has different names. Security officer that mainly looks at compliance. Did you see these? IT security governance, another words to it. They also look for policies and compliance. Okay. Cybersecurity analyst, mainly they look at compliance and policy, right? It's just different name. That's why you need to go with the main name, which is policy compliance, and they will give you the position. Remember, each company, they put different names. You may find SOC analyst, but it's not SOC analyst, they look for compliance. So compliance, right? Look at RMF, which is one of the framework that we just talked about, nested the RMF, to the risk management framework. Compliance, lots of compliance, and it's the easiest job in cybersecurity. Why? What they do is, okay, my company is dealing with a credit card, right? Hey, go run the scan. You run the scan of the network. You get this scan. Look at the scan. Okay, if this is matching the document coming from the which one here? The PCI DSS. Is all the configuration that I put match the PCI DSS, so I am compliant. Even if any attack happened to me, I won't be fine. Why? Because I'm following the standard from them. Okay, you are working in a hospital, working in, doing any medical transaction or any medical information you collect, you need to follow HIPAA. Okay, so that's the difference between regulation, legislation, and standards, right? You have to follow. You cannot open a hospital without following this one. They won't allow you. They will close it next day. That makes sense? You're using a credit card. You need to follow this standard. You collecting information for people, right? If you collect information from anyone, say, hey, I'm calling you, give me your name, your date of birth, your social security. You need to follow the GDPR, and you will find lots of positions just looking for GDPR. Need a one has experience with GDPR, or they're even willing to teach a GDPR. It's one of, by the way, the compliance, but it's specifically for GDPR. Right? You will find lots of positions. They look for GDPR experience. What is GDPR? It's just a standard. You don't even have a book. They do not have a book. It's everything here is online. GDPR. Compliance. You go for their website, gdpr.eu. It's actually was built in Europe. It's Europe standard, but actually US adopted. Here is GDPR overview, GDPR compliant. That's what you need to know. And it will give you all the information that you need to know. There is, which one in here? Raise policy. And they also work with Nest. There is something they implement from Nest. But what I'm telling you is here, they have 99 articles, right? Each article, one article tell you, okay, who can collect this information? If you don't hire someone that's responsible to collect this information and you give them the delegation to collect it, you are not compliant with it. You see? So I'm following these steps or no? If you're following, you're compliant. So there is a person being hired just to make sure that we are following this process. We are completely compliant. So this slide is to put it in one slide, right? But it's very important for the one who's really interested to look at documents, matching what we have with these documents, and they actually doing good money too, right? But someone likes to just keep looking at documents. You don't look at computers mainly, they just documents after documents after documents. So there is different document in here, different regulation and standards, right? What your company does has to follow one of those regulations. Now, let's say you are in a bank, right? You are in a bank. First bank, taking a credit card. So you need to follow these, right? Second, people information too. So you need to follow these. Not only that, they actually getting different information uh, uh, um, from people, right? Which means that you want to run a credit card, you want to give them loans. That means you are a financial institution also, so you need to follow these regulations. You are in a hospital, this is the only one you need to follow. Hospital is very straightforward. If you are in California, by the way, California, they tell you, okay, I don't care about GDPR. That's up to you. If you want to deal with California specifically, they have their own regulation, CCPA, and it's a new regulation. They just did it 2 years ago, right? You work with the government, they tell you, okay, you need to follow FISMA. FISMA, once you hear FISMA, you're dealing with the government, right? Now, anything you want, you're doing implementation, you're doing any new software, you're doing things like that, you need to follow SOX, the Sarbanes-Oxley Act. Okay, so those are regulations. The difference between regulation and any other, benchmark or frameworks. Regulation, legislation, you could face very big consequences if you don't follow. You cannot take credit card without following what they said and the PCI DSS. That's why if you go to any organization that's a Visa, you want to work with Visa, you want to work with banks, you want to work with big company that who's actually taking credit cards, right? You could, even Macy's, right? Can pay with the credit card. They have to follow this PCI DSS on their system. If it's not being followed, they will pay big money and they may be closed. They may go to, bankruptcy. So it's a must to be followed. There is no excuses. You cannot say, oh, there is, one article on GDPR is not being followed. No, the 99 article has to be followed if you want to collect information from people. This is how important it is. It's very easy job. Again, you may find it a lot, but if you think all of these just for one job, so it's really fine, right? You know, in this privacy act or in this privacy statement that they give you when you install an application or anything, they will tell you which one they follow in these. They have to tell you. You can read it; it's a lot, but they have to tell you we are following these. If you feel if you know what is GDPR and they tell you we're following GDPR and you feel one of the process not being followed with the GDPR, you can sue them. You as an in customer, you as a user, you can sue them. Okay, so there is many acts in here. They will very simple on the test. They will ask you, in a hospital, you know, which regulation they use. You can say HIPAA. I'm taking credit card, PCI DSS. If I'm taking, just general information, GDPR, right? Work with the government's easy because it's coming with the F, FISMA, right? California, it's very straightforward. It's called California Consumer Privacy Act, CCPA. If you want to do implementation, I'll go with the SOX, and that's all what you need to know. Any question? We are done with the lesson one. Lesson one is the very short lesson and very quick. But
I
any
have a
question?
I have a
Hmm?
question.
Sure.
What is the difference between SOX and the other financial, um, the GLBA? Is
So
that
SOX, yes. Now
uh,
you want to come on. You want to put a new application, right? You say, okay, I'm good in programming and I want to get a new application. You build this application, but now you want to make it available for people, right? In order to start making money or to use it in, publicly or whichever, right? In order to put this application, you need to follow SOX. Okay, that makes sense. So it's actually it's mandate the process how to do the implementation for this application or for this equipment or for whichever implementation you want to do. That's the SOX for. Okay,
Okay. Hmm.
so that's what's called mandates the implementation. The process, what you're gonna do, maybe you're gonna maybe open a ticket, maybe you're gonna go to the government, say, hey, I want to open this, maybe you're gonna, there is a process in there that you need to follow if you want to implement any applications or put in new software or things like that. That the SOX is focusing for, right? So maybe you are an HR company, like the company that I'm working on right now, it's called Trinet. So Trinet, it's an HR company. HR, so make it easy for other people, to do payrolls, to hire for companies, for big companies, to manage the information for the companies. Now, every time they come up with a new software to make it easy for them, right? In order to put these softwares to work, they have to follow SOX. All right. Now, once they put it, SOX has no reason to, there is nothing to do in there. We're done. Now, for any one of you wants to work with any other company, but they have a payroll, so they have to collect some information from you every time you call, they have to also follow the GDPR, right? Now, if you've been, using any of those cards to deal with this company, which is mostly not, you need to follow PCI DSS. But because it's just a company that does not take any card, there is no reason to do this. That makes sense? If this company provide you with an ideas and how to do financially, what to do financially, if they can get a loan or something, then they have to follow this. Did you do that? No. So they don't follow the JLBA. That makes sense? So what the company actually does, then they will find which regulation they have to follow. So if you think about, let's think about bank, right? Which is the everywhere right now. There is an application that you can also use with the bank, many different accounts. You can ask for loan, car loan, mortgage, right? So first thing, if you think about what they do, they collect information in order to give you the loan, right? They want to see your credit score, right? So they get your social security and this info. So they have to follow GDPR. That makes sense, right? Now, also, the other financial institutions, they have to take a decision what to do. So they have to get this credit score, they have to see your financial information deeply, right? How much you have in this bank, the other banks. So they have to follow that GLBA, the financial institution one. That makes sense? Also, the bank behind the scene, you can use your card to, to deduct money, to get money, to put money. So you have to follow the PCI DSS. Now they also currently dealing with California people, so they have to follow these California people. Do you have to follow with HIPAA? No, they are just financial institutions. They don't get any medical information. That makes sense. Now this company, the bank wants to implement a new software for you, new application you're gonna put on your phone. To do this, they have to follow the SOX in order to put this. Let's say that bank give offers to the government, maybe specific payrolls or something, right? Then they have to follow FISMA. This is how it is. Every single part you do, you need to look who I deal with. Then you have to find which one you're gonna follow. Yet there is some company they follow all of those because they do lots of information. Now let's go ahead for the, let's say, a hospital, right? Mainly they have to follow with HIPAA, but does the hospital give you loan? They don't give you loan, but you can pay with the card sometimes, right? So they have to follow the PCI DSS. Even if it's a hospital, they still have to follow PCI DSS if they allow you to pay with the card. That makes sense?
Yes, thank you.
That answer your question?
Thank you.
All right. Welcome, no problem. Any question?
So I have a question. So
Mhm.
you said that yeah, there is a rule of compliance and rule. So what's this person do? He just guide this stand protocol or this compliance or something else?
No, yes, absolutely. That's exactly what they do. So let's say your company taking information, they go to GDPR, right?
Mhm.
Let's go to GDPR. GDPR, this is the GDPR. Here you go.
Mhm.
You have 99 articles. Now, you know that you actually hire someone to collect an information, right? Which is the controller or a processor of this information. We're going to take most of this information, by the way, as we go through the class, through this
Really?
course, right?
Okay.
But they come here, okay, we hire this one. That's, are we good with GDPR? So you come in here, maybe you just open this just for the sake of it. Okay, you read this. Okay, so this person is following this. Yes, we're compliance. Okay, bye bye. Thank you. That's it. That's what they do. But of course, it's a big company. There is bigger department. There is bigger things you do, right? So you mainly you spend in 4 or 5 hours looking for different regulation like this.
Okay.
But
So
yeah,
this
that's their
person,
main job is to make sure this company is compliant with whichever regulation they follow.
so in a sense that they don't have any daily day-to-day job, right?
And no, that's their job. It's just following. Let's say you run a scan, and the scan they tell you, oh, okay, you know what? I have uh, an access control being broken, right? Oh my God,
Mm.
access control. If you look at all the regulation, they focus on access control being broken. That means
Mm.
I'm not compliant or something else is broken. Maybe access control in a different part that you have to go to access control here and match what access control in the scan, right? And if you feel we are compliant, then we're compliant. If you feel we're not compliant, say, hey, I need to add maybe you guys to be compliant in this access control. We need to add an extra access control that may be saying the password needs to be changed every 2 months instead of 3 months, right?
Mhm. Okay.
They add it. Then you run the scan again. They said, okay, the access control being added that's showing 2 months. You come here, you said, okay, it's 2 months. Yes, yes, yes. Okay, we're good. Now we're compliant. That's their job.
Uh, okay. So this person have to be familiar with all of this thing, documentation, that is in different field or just one for a specific role.
So you're actually you choose the correct word, familiar,
Mhm.
not experience.
Yeah.
That makes sense. So if I
Yeah.
tell you that I have a 99 article in the GDPR, so what does our
Uh,
99 article? I know that one of the articles means Article 13. That the familiarity of talking about. You don't have to know the 99 article what they are talking about.
mhm.
Okay, you don't even have to know
Okay.
like 40 articles, but you need to know that there is 99 article. They focus on the information, who's collecting this information. Then you can go come here and read one or three of these articles, and those articles are not big, as you can see here. Those articles are not big at all. So you're not going to read the whole 15, 16 pages in each article. No,
Okay.
right? So you come here on any of these articles, you read it, two or three, now you're familiar with GDPR. And someone called me, recruiter, like 3, 4 weeks ago. Do you need someone just know about GDPR? Other regulation? No. They just start collecting information and they want someone just for GDPR.
So
That makes
is it a
sense?
yeah? Is it yeah? It makes sense. So is it a permanent position? That means it's a regular position, or the people hire for this compliance for 1 or 2 months, and
For
when
the
they
one
are
they call
done,
it, we're about 2 years contract, which is
uh,
long-term contract, which is good money overall. Because contract you get more money than the full time.
okay.
So I know some people they don't like to take full time, even they offer them full time, they don't like to take it
Oh,
because they
really?
make more money over the contract. Yes.
Mhm.
So it depends on what you like,
Okay. So
right? So
do they offer everything for 1K or everything for the contract? I don't know about the. I don't have any idea about the contract. That's same.
yeah, yeah, there is some company they provide you with full benefits in the contract. Yeah,
Okay.
you take full benefits, but you take more money
Uh, okay.
because no matter what, it's gonna be a limited time. So
Mhm.
this is how they look
Okay.
for it. Anyway, so let's say you want to work with the bank, right? I'm not with the bank, with Visa,
Mhm.
right? PCI DSS compliance, right? Let's go any of those articles or any of those, here it is. read any of those. Now you become familiar with PCI DSS,
Okay.
right? You see, it's very short information. They will tell you, okay, in the access control, I wanted to put this and that access control. You don't go and put it yourself. You just gonna report to your manager, hey, we need to have these three. Please provide me a proof that we have these three. You have it, we're compliant. Boom, good. That makes sense?
Yep. So this
You
is a
come in
very
here. That's what no one memorizing everything in here. No one.
should not. Yeah.
Yeah, no one. I'm just telling you, this is the truth. But they want you to know. Did you see it before? Did you read any of it? Did you understand what I'm talking about? If you don't understand it, then you will get the job. You know, that's the idea behind it. There is no one knows everything inside here.
Mhm.
But you need to be familiar with. At least you opened it once or twice. At least you try to read one of those questions in here. That makes sense?
Yeah. So far, and if I understand correctly, the main qualification for this role is to find the right document on the right time in the
Exactly.
right
Make sure
situation.
that you're compliant with this regulation. And everything is online.
Yeah, basically, I think there is a thousands of information, so you have to have an
Yes,
ability to pick up the right information, right?
exactly.
Am I correct? Okay.
And there is no one will ask you, okay, I want someone, just one person, to deal with all of this regulation. It's impossible because it's a lot of documents. So
So
they will tell you, okay, PCI, DSS, and GDPR. You're familiar with those? You're good.
it's a very easy, right? So you just
It's a
pen.
very easy position. It's very straightforward, but it needs someone who likes to read and who likes to look at documents, which is not me, to be honest.
Neither of me. Yeah.
Yeah, I like some practical stuff. But there's some people they love it. I have a friend of mine, he's been doing it for like years. I said, I will never change it. He loved it. That's it.
Yeah.
So it
Some
depends on the
people.
person again.
Yeah.
All right, so once you start your labs, which is called login.comptia.org, go down and you will find CompTIA Labs, Master Labs. You see these? Click on it, and I will open this page for you. Okay, and you will have course Master Lab Security Incomplete. Once you click it, open the labs for you. Those are the labs. Okay. First lab, you can do it yourself. This is nothing, it's just to teach you how to use the labs. So we're going to start with our first labs. It's called Scanning and Identifying Network Nodes. Once you open it, it will take a while to load.
Hello.
Yes.
I'm having trouble signing into it. Um it's a like yeah, it's just saying bad request.
Did you go to login.comptia.org?
Yeah.
Then did you put the username and password that Ahmed provided you?
Yeah, I'm gonna do it again. I'm just gonna do it
Okay.
again.
So please try it. If you could not, so just follow with us and send an email to Ahmed and he will fix it for you.
Okay.
Excuse me. So when we go to the labs, can you tell me once again where to go?
Mm,
It's,
Did you reach to this one?
oh, yes.
You're here, right?
Yes.
So you go down and you go to the second one called scanning and identify network nodes. Once you click on it, it will open in a new
Okay.
page and it will load. Take about 2 to 3 minutes. All right. So once the lab open, actually will open whichever type of operating system we're gonna work on. So first thing before we go through this navigation, I want you to know that there is a resources in here. Hope everyone is seeing my screen. There is a resources in here, and this resources has all the virtual machines. Okay, it's all the virtual machine that we are going to use. Okay, so if any time you want to stop at any of those virtual machine, or if you want to, try something by yourself, you come here to resources, and you can just access it from here. As you can see here, we just change the screen right away. Now, if you familiar with Windows servers, in order to unlock it and to put your username and password, you have to press Control Alt and Delete 3 together. Control Alt and Delete 3 together. But because this is virtual machine, if you press Control Alt Delete, this is going to affect your computer, not the virtual machine. So what they did, they make it easy for you and they put it here for you. Did you see this? You put Control Alt Delete in here and it will go to the password. Okay, so you don't put Control Alt Delete from your keyboard, you put it from here. But usually they give it to you through the instruction. You don't have to come to this page, except if you want to do something yourself. Got it? What we are going to follow is on the instruction. So we use and Kali Linux instruction. Next at the beginning, and we'll be here at Kali Linux. It says here open Kali Linux. We're done. Now the username for Kali Linux is root, and the password is gonna stay with us for all operating system. Same password for all operating system. Accepted. Awesome. Thank you so much. All right. Same password for all operating systems.
Wait, what was the password again?
I'm coming here for the password. The password is, look at here. It says what? It says password, B capital A, $sign W, 0 RD. Okay? P capital A, $sign W, 0 RD. Login. Should open. So P capital A, $sign W, 0 RD. Okay? And that's the password for all operating systems. Now, not sure if anyone familiar with Kali Linux or no. Kali Linux is a version of Linux family that's being built only for cybersecurity. So you will be asked in the interview, did you use Kali Linux or no? So what you're gonna say?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, we are using Kali Linux. Okay, I'm going to use different tools in Kali Linux. All right. So here we open Kali Linux. That's Kali Linux, and here the terminal. So most of our work will be in the terminal. You click it, it will open terminal for you. And here we are going to start our command. And remember, What is it? To know your local host information in Linux, it's an if config. Once you hit if config, enter, and that's your computer information. Of course, naming here conventional is different because this is Linux. So inet, that means at the internet, and that's the IP address for it. So the IP address is called inet, and the Ethernet, which is the device or the card that's being used, is Ethernet 0. So always look for Ethernet 0. We always look for Ethernet 0. Okay, and that's the information in here, the IP address. And if you want to know net mask, broadcast, and anything else you want to, it's in here. Um, Ethernet. So inet, which is coming from the internet, is the IP address Ethernet, and it's coming from the Ethernet network, which is layer 2 and the OZ model. And once you see Ether, means Ethernet, which is the layer 2 address, which is the MAC address. Okay. All right. So ifconfig, and there is another command, and that's actually a new command. Okay, called IPA, IP space A. It's give you the same information. Okay, gives you the same information. And here is the Ethernet 0, and here is the information. And this just a new command, and instead of the ifconfig, you can put IPA. I will tell you here what is the IP address for Ethernet 0, and by now you should know that it's 192, so it's 10.1.0.192. All right. So once they give you a box in here, you have to put an answer, and you have to hit score. See this? It will tell you if your answer is correct or no. Okay. So you put the answer in here, and you have to hit score. If you don't hit all the score that's gonna come up, the lab will never end. Okay. Even if you put the wrong answer, it doesn't matter, but you have to put an answer and you have to put a score. Okay, so ifconfig and IPA. Now I ask you to run another command, which is IP route. What route? Remember the command route? It gives you the routing table, which means it gives you the only connection that you have here, which is, as you can see here, and that's the default gateway. Sorry, that's the default gateway. So, yeah. That's the default gateway, which means your router ID. All right. So you come in here, if they ask what is the IP address for your router, what you're gonna say is 10.1.0.254. Hit score, and that's correct. Now another one, which is the ARP. A, and here it will give you, this is the device name, that's the IP address, and that's the MAC address of the device. Okay, so we set the ARP, mapping the MAC address with the IP address. What is the IP address for this machine? Give it the machine name. What is the IP address? Is 10.1.0.1. Score, and it's correct. Another command, IP neighbor. It tells you who's your neighbor, right? And enter, and it will tell you, okay, that's your neighbor. So the device that's connected to me is this device. That's my neighbor, 10.1.0.1. Okay, 10.1.0.1, which is the DC1 device. Okay, now we're going to run this command, which is the net discover. Net discover it goes around the network and it will show you all the computers that's connected to you, or you will be able to connect to them. So net discover, and go ahead and complete these switches. Ethernet 0. So you tell them that I'm looking for all devices that connected to Ethernet 0, which means your network card. And put the network ID, which is 10.1.0.0/24. Why you put /24 here? Because I want to take all range on the IP address from 10.1.0.0 to 10.1.0.254. And if you want to know how this is happened, this is actually a whole chapter, which means take 2 to 3 classes to explain, and the CCNA class all about networking shows you how we break this down to become /24 and what that means. And if time permitted, I may take part of class one time and explain it. Once you do this, net discover, it will take about 2 to 3 minutes, and it will show you how many devices connected to that port, which is your network card. Why this is important? If you be able to connect to any device, you want to know which other devices that you can jump to. And that's something that we are going to study later as well. You go to device, and that device has limitation. You cannot do anything. What first thing you're trying to do is to run or jump to different devices. If you are an attacker, you want to do something in this network. But if you attack a device in the network that does not have any permission, there is nothing to do anything. So the best thing to do, if you cannot do something called privilege escalation, which means go to a higher privilege, which means try to get an administrator rights, you try to jump from device to device, which means try to attack another device in the same network. So that's why you look for this one. Also, if you are a defender, which means if you are working in a SOC or working in a company, also you want to know what's connected to you. And if you find a different device that you don't know, right, you can see that, okay, something wrong in here, someone connected the device or something, right? So it's very important and powerful command. It's called net discover. And as you can see here, you can cover how many devices? 5 devices. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 devices. This is the router. This is computer, 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 computer. So 4 computers and 1 router. And your device, what you're working on, it's the 6th one. That means you have 6 devices in the network, right? And with the Linux, in order to stop any type of process, put Control C, it will stop. Without Control C, it will not stop. How many devices you have is 5, score, and that's correct. Or you can press Q, but sometimes Q does not work, so Control C always works. All right. Now this is the Linux. What it tells us here is to go to different device, which means we are in Kali Linux, and they want us to go to DC1, which means this is a Microsoft device. Now, there is 2 ways. You can go to here, which is not recommended, or they actually highlight it to you. They make it as a shortcut. So you just come here, you press it, and it will open for you. And as you can see here, they put it for you what? Control-Alt-Delete, you press it, and it will open for you. And guess what? They make it even easier for you with the Windows, so you don't keep typing it. Anything in this lab or any lab, it has a T before it. That means it's pressable or clickable. So once you click it, it will enter the password for you right away. Enter, and now you are in Windows Server. And I'm not sure if any of you saw Windows Server or deal with it. It's very powerful servers, and all companies has Windows servers. Okay, so it's good to know how to deal with it. And the training that I took was 20 weeks. They never show me, or I never logged into Windows Server. So this is how powerful it is labs. So at least you will know how to get, and one day you will start creating certificates, revoking certificates, you will start dealing with the DHCP, with the DNS, and so on. So it's very good to deal with Windows Server. So when you go to a company one day, they will ask maybe to deal with one of those. You won't be shocked or scared. And we'll know how to deal with it later, but this is just for network reconnaissance. All right. So we're here. We need to start, the command line as always. So we'll go here, CMD, right? Same thing that we saw in my device. And we'll come in here on CMD. And the first thing, let's run ipconfig. And enter. And you will see the same information that was saw in there, but of course the IP address is different. Until you put the IP address for this device, which is the DC one, it's going to become 10.1.0.1. Score, and that's correct. Now, if you remember this IP address for the other device, which is the Kali Linux, and what we're going to run is the path ping. Remember what the path ping does? It goes to every single point between you and the other device and ping all of those devices. If there is no point between you and the other device, it will just ping your device. That clear? But let's say you're going from another server that's, it's 3-4 miles away from you, and there is 2 or 3 routers on the middle between you and that one. It will ping every single router on those. Okay, as you can see here, since you have a T, you can press it, and it will write the command for you. You come here and enter. It's not running completely. Now it's running. Just wait for it, and it will give you the result. So here it is. It tells you, okay, this is coming out of this device, which is your device where you're pinging, and the second hop, which is the second stop, is the other device, which is what you're pinging. There is nothing in between, right? So they find both devices, and now it will ping it. I will give you the result. Now, with this result, it will show you if there is a problem in the connection. So that sometimes the cable is not good. So we'll do something called packet loss. With that packet loss, that means the connection will be horrible. Sometimes we won't be able to connect, right? So that's why they check lost and sent and lost. So if all the thing that's being sent or received, I mean there is nothing being lost on the connection, which is what we're looking for. So what percentage of packet were lost? Should be 0%. And score. Now, once you finish the page, all of it, which is the first instruction, you can go to one by one of those and mark it, or you can just come to the last one and mark it, hit OK, and it will mark every one before it as being completed. And once you mark those, you can see here the progress line is showing now 42%. If you don't mark those, it will stay at 0%. Go to next. Now we are going to use a nmap. So what it tells you is you go to Kali and still connected to Kali, and first thing you run nmap, and as you can see localhost. What does that mean, localhost? What localhost is going to scan?
Your IP address?
Yes, your device, the device that you're sitting on. That's called localhost. Yes. So enter, and because it's it's checking the device that you're sitting in, it gives you the results so quick, and it shows you that you have an open port. Open port, the SSH port and port 22. Okay, but it does not give you lots of information because that's a simple nmap command. It tells you what port is opened, and as you can see, port 22 and score. Okay. Now let's give an nmap, another nmap, and very simple. I will put an IP address 1.0.0/24. I'm telling the nmap here is to go to this IP address, and what I put /24, which means I'm telling the nmap to go in a range from 0 to 254. Any IP from 0 to 254, please scan it for me. Okay, which means I'm giving it to the whole network to scan it. And this is also another simple scan. So what also is going to give me also what's if there is an open port or no, if it's up or down. That's all. But we have lots of commands on the nmap. As you can see in here, it goes to every single device in the network and it's scanned. And look how powerful it is. It's very quick and will give you all the open ports. Can anyone tell me why I'm looking for open ports?
Uh, because it'll leave, it's a vulnerability to have people, hack into your system.
Well, it's not a vulnerability yet. There is an open port, right? I will tell you
So
why I'm looking for open ports.
I was about to say, so why?
Okay.
Like to
So,
see if someone is sniffing or something.
no. So I'm looking for open ports from both sides. If I'm an attacker or I am a scanner or defender, right? If I'm an attacker, I'm gonna come here, look what is the open ports. Okay. So first thing my eye catches, port 80 is open. Port 80, which is HTTP. Now this port is not secure, right? That's why we change it to HTTPS, right? So this is open. So if I am planning to do any attack, which port I'm going to use? What do you think?
80 because it's open.
That's it.
Okay.
Now one more thing. It tells me also port 53 open, which is domain. What does that mean, port 53? Port 53 domain, that means what? That means a DNS. So this computer is the DNS server. So if I'm able to attack this computer, I can do any attack on the DNS. I'm gonna take some attacks on what is DNS and how to attack DNS and why do we have to attack DNS? Well, I'm going to attack DNS to do some changes on that record in there so I can transfer someone from this computer to the other computer. But if I want to do this type of attack, so I'm going to use this one because it's easy. Once I have a successful attack, I'm going to jump to this one. Now, if I'm not going to target the domain, if you look at all other devices, there is no DNS. So port 53 is not open except on this one, right? So there is another. No, that's not on. That's not even a device. This is the router. So there is none of those devices has DNS open except this one. That tell me this is a DNS domain. This DNS server is working also as a DNS server. So I can attack this one because it's easy to do an attack on port 80. Then I'm in the computer right now. I can go shoot that DNS record and I can change it whichever I want to. Right?
So is it just safe to summarize that an attacker or the scanner is looking for open ports to see where the weakness is to initiate a DOS?
Exactly. So now I'm an attacker. So this is how I look at. But if I'm a scanner, okay. So why the LDAP is open? Why this key password? I'm gonna look to this device. If this is in my record is a server for this operating system or for this application. If it's yes, it's yes. If it's not, so why this opens a vulnerability? I have to close it. Why this opens a vulnerability? I have to close it. Now is DNS open here, right? I'll also have to go check. It's an open. If that's the server for DNS, it should be open. If it's yes, then it's yes. If it's not, then I have to close it. I look at this. Okay, wow, port 80 is open. I have to close it, right? So that's the thing I'm looking for as a scanner. All right, and here, okay, there is no. You're welcome. There's no question here. There's another scan in map. Lowercase s and uppercase s. And the second thing you need to know about the Linux all type of Linux, not only Kali. If you deal with Linux or Unix, it's a case sensitive. It's a case sensitive. Small s is, go ahead.
I have a question in reference to the ports being open. Can you also use this same tool to close ports?
Same tool to close ports. So ports
How
here are
can you
open, that means
defend
the
your
others
open
are
port?
closed. What
How
is
can
it?
you I guess my question is how do you defend your open port?
How do I defend my open port? So let's say this open port 80, right? Port 80, it should not be used anyways. So being open, it's a vulnerability. So I just go ahead and close it. I just go to the server and I said, okay, port 80 closed. And we will see how to do this in one of the labs. Okay?
Okay, but my question is can you use this tool to close that port?
No.
Okay.
These tools to scan,
Okay, got it.
just to show you what's in your network. All right, so we're on an nmap. Okay. Oh, it's not by itself. I did not even run that. So an nmap, all S, capital S. And put the IP addresses 10.1.0.254. Enter, and quickly also give you some open ports. Give you that the port or the host is up, which means that device is excuse me, is up. Also give you some information such as the MAC address. Okay, what services are running on that virtual? As you can see here, ports 22 and port 53, which means SSH and DNS. Port 22 is SSH, and port 53 is DNS, which is domain. SSH and DNS. Now, one of the most powerful, simple command on the nmap is dash capital A. Dash capital A. Why dash capital A is a very critical one and it's very important, and we have to keep using it because it's the only command will show you what operating system running on that device. If you don't know how to deal with Linux, why are you gonna attack Linux, right? It doesn't make sense. So you need to look for something, maybe Windows. Not only that, if this is running a server and the server is Apache and you want to know which version of Apache, if version that's being protected, why should you attack? You need to look for an older version that's being unprotected to make it easy for you to attack. So your friend is going to be what? Nmap, that's capital A, and then you put the IP address where you want to check this information. Here, what? 254. All right, go ahead and hit enter. And wait for the result. And look where is operating system details, Linux version 3.2, 4.9. Did you see these? Did you see that? That's what we need. That's what we need. Now, very simple. If we just go to Google and say, hey, what is vulnerability on Linux 3.2 or 4.9? It will give you all the vulnerabilities. You can start your attack from there. Okay? It's very powerful. That's why we use it. Not only that, once we come to the encryption, which is lesson 5 and lesson 6, we'll know what a deuce mean, but those are another important information about the encryption of the keys, and they actually give you the keys for encryption that this device using, but we'll know what that means later in lesson 5. Okay, so what operating system is being used? Linux, right? Then run the following command, and this command, anything that has -p, it looks for port only. So if I want to choose a specific port instead of looking for all the ports, I'm using switch -p. So nmap -p 20 200 for the IP address 10.1.0.254. 0.0 backslash forward slash, sorry, 24. I'm going to all of this range. I'm just looking for those IP addresses. Sorry, those ports. Okay. So just look for 20 to 200. Anything over 200 or under 20, it won't look for it. And it tells you about MS1 is the port 80, right? Port 80 is open. That is MS1. This DC1, S1, port 80 is open. So it's yes. 4. All right. As you can see, we keep adding switches. So I don't want to keep going through those switches because I want to give you something very important before I run to those switches. Before the class ends, I will share that with everyone. As you can see here, each single command, it does something different, right? So there is lots of information you can bring. That's why there is some people that go a step further and they build that website. It called what? It called Nmap cheat sheet. And it gives you all type of commands, including the switches, as you can see in here, and explain what it this does. It's a lot. That's why not everyone can remember all of these. That's why they put it here. It's a lot. It's a lot, but it's very powerful. So if you want to do anything, you think about it, right? You come in here and you look what you want to do, right? Service version detection, port specification, scan techniques, host discovery, and they tell you what this does, and they give you explanation in here too. So I would like to share these with everyone so you can try some of those switches. Now, again, you can open this lab at any time, and you can just try some of those switches. You don't have to follow the lab. Does that make sense? So you can just come and try any of those switches that on the website that I just sent you. Some of those you need to make sure what it does, because some of them, if you don't put it correctly, or if you use it for a big range, it could take hours to give you information, and you don't want to do this. Okay, so I want to make sure that does something specific better than put a command and it will take long time just to get the information for you. All right, there's one more thing here you can see. When the lab time is almost done, it will ask you, do you want to extend it or no? If you say no, it will end after 10 minutes, even if you don't finish it. If you say yes, it will extend it for 15 minutes extra to finish the lab. Okay? So I believe this message is going to come to all of you. Now, let's go to this coming command on the Nmap. So what it does, I'm given to top 20 ports on that list for all. As you can see here, it doesn't give you any information, just the top 20 ports that's open in all of the devices. Nmap 10.1.0.0/24 and enter. And this one, it will show you if that device is currently up or down. Okay, so by the way, you can add anything you want to the scan. What does that means? Let's say I'm using this one. I want to check 20, right? But I can use what? SN, and also I can use A. Why not? SN does not take it. Middle space. Let's give it a shot. Okay. I'll take it for some reason. But technically, it should be taking it. And even if you go to the cheat sheet, it will tell you that you can put any switches you want to. These two works together. So technically, you can put any switches that you want to, and it will give you that information. You know, it's just mix and match instead of running this and running that and running that. So you can add many of those switches together, and you will find this in the cheat sheet as well. As you can see here, you can add took the SS, right, and I took the A, and he's being added both together, and so on. All right, let's get back. This one. All right, what the question is, as you can see, sometimes it just take a long time to get this information. That's why you need to know what you mix and match. Okay, which server is configured as an email server? This one was in the which one is configured as an email server? Which is which port would you think should be
MS1.
open? What?
MS1.
You said MS1?
Yes.
MS1. Yep, that's correct. Why? Because SMTP, excuse me, the simple mail transfer protocol is in port 25 is open, right? The other one is filtered, which means it's not working, it's not open, it just receive, and as you can see here, it's filtered. The only one has it open is MS1. Okay, so go to MS1. Now this page done. Mark all and hit next. All right. Remember, one of the tools that we take was a quickly. One is called curl. Do you know what curl does? Do you know what curl does? Anyone still remember? Curl. 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 Scan applications or application server or web application. Okay. So focusing on application. All right. Enter. And as you can see here, it just gives you basic information about this application. All right. You can see here it's being hosted on a Microsoft server. Some stuff e-tags based on how much it takes, and you know, and it's okay. It's reachable, as you can see here. 200 means it's reachable. It's okay. And so this is, of course, there's different switches, but it's a scan for application or web application. It does not scan for network. Right? I ask which web it's using, and we can see here it's IIS-10. IIS-10. All right. And Kelly type Firefox, blah, blah, blah. So Firefox, HTTP, Now, the other thing with Linux, especially Kali Linux, right? Anything you want to open it, you can just type it from here. So you don't have to go to Firefox. You can just type, and this is how attackers usually do everything fast, right? You don't go like Windows, open in here, then start typing. So as you can see here, Firefox. Okay, just type Firefox, then see where do you want to go. Enter, and it goes, open, it goes to the website, and it opens it for you right away. Okay, and this page, it will tell you, because this is an IP address for a server, and tells you which one is hosting the server. It's Windows. So it's an Internet Information Services, IIS, for mark all, close, and this is the last one. So remember, in its lookup, the opposite is, or so not the opposite, the one that's being used for Linux is what? Dig, right? Dig, X, 10, 1.0.4, enter, and as you can see here, it gives you message dig, da 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 da. Oh, sorry. Capital X should be small letter X. Enter, and as you can see here, it takes the IP address and it's translated to all of this information that's coming from, and that's what we're looking for actually, which is the fully qualified domain name. Fully qualified domain name. Okay, the fully qualified domain name. So I can take the IP address and check which fully qualified domain name, or I can get the fully qualified domain name and translate it to the IP address, that the lookup or the dig.
Dig.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
Yep. Dig for Linux and lookup for Windows. Right? And gives you also some other information, right? About the software, IP addresses, and so on. If there is any other thing that will show it to you. All right, what is the IP address of the DNS server that answered the query? Which one answered the query is this one, 10.1.0.1, which is the DC1, if I'm not mistaken, right? But the IP address 10.1.0.1. So if your manager, if your administrator asks you any question, just dig in this lookup. You can get this information so quickly, right? If ask you, okay, which one has DNS? Which one DNS server? You can run nmap. You can run dig for your router, and it will give you which one will answer those addresses, right? So any of those commands will answer your question. Use dig to answer the following. Okay, which fully qualified domain name? Use dig to answer the following. Okay, so it says use dig to answer the fully qualified domain name for the number 2, which means .2. Hit enter, and it will give you the MS1, that the fully qualified domain name, and you can come in here. I already got it before, and with MS1 has to be case sensitive .corp 515support.com, and some of the versions will ask you to put the dot at the end. Some they will accept it without the dot, but it's being written on the dot, so it has to be added with the dot at the end, or with the period at the end. All right, and this is the last command for today. It's dig. So a corp 515 support.com. So you dig the fully qualified domain name, okay, to translate some other information such as the serial or the key. Some of them, they will even translate the owner. They will give you the IP address, the IP version 6, and so on. So as you can see here, dig is like NS lookup, right? And it will translate the information that you requested from the DNS server. So as you can see in here, I'm looking for this one on Kali Linux, but this information, because in my network, I choose one device to be DNS server. So all of this information has to go to that server, and that server get you the information and reply to you. That's why I said when you do NS lookup, you're looking at which one has, DNS open. So if you attack it, that device, you can control the DNS, and there is something called DNS poisoning, and that's coming up. But I'm giving you, information in advance. What the DNS poisoning does? I come to the DNS server. DNS says this fully qualified domain name has this IP address. So if I put this fully qualified domain name, it will go to that server and it will open the page for me. Now, how about if I come to this name? Let's think this is a google.com and that the IP for Google, right? And I come to this IP, I said, you know what? I want to change this IP to my website IP address. Okay, so anyone goes to google.com, instead of going to Google, the DNS will translate to different IP address, right? And it will send it to a different website. That's called what? Poisoning. DNS poisoning. DNS poisoning. And we're going to take this type of attack later in the course. Again, this is called DNS poisoning. And there is a question coming on the test about DNS poisoning. They will tell you a scenario, someone blah 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 trying to access this website, but for some reason they've been sent to different website. Why? Because DNS poisoning. Someone get in there and change the information on the DNS, replace the IP address for the fully qualified domain name. All right, so if we come in here, as you can see here, we are at 93%. That means we are at the end. They give you 2 or 3 questions to answer. 2 or 3 questions to answer. All right, let's go ahead. Which of the following answers correctly summarizes the steps in this activity? Anyone can answer quickly this question?
The steps in
Identify
this
the
activity is
Linux on the
vulnerability
Windows server.
scan.
Sorry, both of you speak at the same time. So
The second one.
the second one on my screen
Yes.
or on your screen, okay? All right, thank you so much. That's correct. We'll ask you again before it ends. So say yes, that's fine. All right, who's going to answer the second question? Which of the following answers best identify how an administrator might use the information gathered using this activity? Why the administrator can use or how they can use this information? Anyone?
Third one?
To protect the system.
I think third one.
Third one, you said?
Yep.
To verify expected network and server configuration. That's correct. And question 3, which of the following answers best identifies how an attacker might use the information gathered? So this is the administrator and this is the attacker. Can anyone tell me? And guess what? Select 3. Also in the test, it will tell you if it's nothing in here, that means it's just one answer. If something else, you need to choose more than one answer. Okay.
There is another way. So if it's circle, usually it's one answer, and it's a square, it's multiple answer.
Oh, no, that's just for the lab, but on the test, they will tell you it will be the same, but they
No,
have
that's
to tell you.
something like that. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
But sometimes if you miss that, if you look at the answer to that site tab, radio bar, this is the square.
It's
When you have
square,
multiple
same
answer,
radio.
it's a square. But when you have a single answer, it's circle.
Yeah, no, that's correct. But on the test, I believe the all is going to be radio. If I can remember, right? The all radio, but they will
From
have to tell you.
my standard test experience, yeah, that's what I saw in the TOEFL, GRE, whatever standard test, yeah.
Oh, okay, that's a good catch. All right.
So
That's awesome.
I believe the second one.
I believe the second one, the Nmap network, and
That's the best identifier.
Uh,
How
the
attacker might
third one and the last one.
should get that during the.
that's correct. All right, that's correct. So let's mark all, and as you can see, it's 100%. Next, and then you hit submit, and you hit yes. And that's it for our first lab. That's once we're done, you can close it. And I sent you this one. This is very important. You can keep it in your desktop. You can keep it, in your favorite. Whatever you want to do with it. But it will help you when you start your job, even if you don't want to use it now. But I would encourage you to go and
Do you
start
need
use it.
this command during certification test?
What?
Do you need this command during the certification test? That means in the
No.
no. Okay.
Now, also, I'll encourage everyone, don't wait and start looking on how to do things. Okay? So, first thing, I would encourage you to install Kali Linux on your computer. You can use it. You will benefit from it. It will help you. And if we have time, I will give you, maybe a half of the class on how to use Kali Linux itself, because it's very important for cybersecurity. Now, to use Kali Linux, you have to install a host, which means you have to install a virtual machine. And the virtual machine needs a host, so either you have a VMware or you have, oh my God, it's not in my mind right now, VirtualBox. Okay, so either virtual machine or VirtualBox, so VMware or VirtualBox. I would rather always to use VirtualBox. The VirtualBox is easy to use, so you go to VirtualBox, download, okay, and always choose that's coming from virtualbox.org or from Oracle, okay, because it's made by Oracle anyways. You go to download, you choose your software. I would rather go first to VirtualBox 6.1 here, and you go choose your host or your operating system, okay. Download it. Once you download this one, you gotta install it. Then you go again. Again, your friend will be Google. Even write it correctly. Okay, then you go to Kali Linux download. Okay, get Kali Linux. Always make sure it's from Kali.org. Okay, and as you can see here, they want to go to virtual machines. It will take you down, and because you're installing VirtualBox, so you can use VirtualBox, and you're gonna go here to download. As you can see, it's very big, 2.4 gig. Download. Next time, tell me who's gonna be successful to download both and operate the virtual machine. Okay, this is an extra just for you. Okay, I already have everything here installed, and I'm already using it. It's for you. You will need it in the future. Start get used to it from now.